All right, let's get right into it. Today, we're looking at a tool that is totally changing how we see the machinery of life itself. And I'm not just talking about individual proteins, the basic building blocks. No, we're talking about the big picture, how they actually team up to build the incredibly complex systems that, well, that make us us.
And that's really the perfect question to kick things off, isn't it? Inside our cells, a single protein is kind of like a solo musician. Sure, they're talented, but the real magic, the real music of life, that only happens when they come together to form a full orchestra. Figuring out how these biological orchestras actually get assembled, that's been one of the biggest challenges in biology for a long, long time.
So these teams have a name. They're called protein complexes, or, if you want to get a little more technical, multimers. It literally just means a structure made of multiple parts. And these are the tiny, tiny machines that do all the heavy lifting in our bodies. I mean, think about hemoglobin carrying oxygen through your blood, or the little machines that are constantly repairing your DNA. A single protein just can't do that kind of work on its own.
Now, scientists have been chasing this problem for years, and recently there was a huge breakthrough. But, it came with a pretty big catch.
And here's the central conflict of the story. A revolutionary model called AlphaFold-Multimer came out, and it could predict the structure of these protein teams with incredible accuracy. I mean, this was a massive leap forward. But, and it's a big but, the code wasn't completely open. For researchers all over the world, this amazing new tool was basically stuck behind a wall. It really limited collaboration, and honestly, it slowed down the pace of discovery for everyone.
But here's the thing about the scientific community. It runs on collaboration. So when one door gets closed, they have a tendency to just build their own. And that is exactly what happened here.
And that answer was OpenFold-Multimer. It was a direct response to this need for a prediction tool that was not only powerful, but also completely open, totally accessible, something the entire community could use and, just as importantly, improve upon together.
And you got to understand, this is an ancient history we're talking about. This is happening right now. Between 2023 and 2024, OpenFold-Multimer was released. And just like that, for the very first time, a state-of-the-art model for predicting these intricate biological teams was available to any researcher anywhere in the world with zero restrictions.
So what's really cool about this slide is that these features, they're not just a list of technical specs. They really represent a whole philosophy. Open source and community built means science is a team sport again. Modular means you can tweak it and adapt it, and transparency and reproducibility, well, that's the bedrock. It ensures the science is solid, that it's verifiable, and that it's trustworthy for everybody.
Okay, so we've got this incredible, powerful, open tool. But what does it actually let us do? I mean, what's the point? Well, the answer lies in its real-world applications. And these could genuinely affect all of us.
And this just lays out the pathway from pure science to actual medicine perfectly. First, you predict how the protein teams are supposed to form. Once you can see that, you can start to model what goes wrong when they form incorrectly, which is the root cause of so many diseases. And then, and this is the game changer, once you truly understand the problem on a structural level, you can start designing new drugs to fix it.
I mean, being able to predict these unbelievably complex structures, it feels a little bit like magic, doesn't it? But it's not magic, of course. It's all about the data. So how does a model like this learn to see the invisible architecture of our cells?
Well, it learns from decades and decades of collective scientific effort. The model is trained on something called the Protein Data Bank, or PDB, which is this massive public library of 3D biological structures that scientists have been building for years. By studying this enormous data set, it starts to learn the fundamental rules of engagement, how proteins fit together, how they work together. It starts to see the logic behind the whole system.
So having a tool like OpenFold-Multimer isn't just another incremental step forward. It really signals a fundamental shift in how we can approach biology itself.
This just gets to the absolute heart of it. For so long, we studied proteins one by one, focusing on the individual parts. But biology isn't about individual parts. It's a science of networks. With tools like this, we're finally moving from just looking at the pieces to understanding the whole interconnected machine. It's about function, not just form.
So that leaves us with this really exciting question. We are finally cracking the code of how these biological teams get together. The next frontier is obviously to use that knowledge to map out entire cellular pathways, to understand whole systems in action. It just makes you wonder, what deep mysteries of life are we going to unravel next?